Thank
I
you, Don.
think that Brian Shapiro energy is rubbed off on me. Don't you think?
When I
It
saw
feels
that,
good, man. It feels good. And people get pissed, and I'm like, but where's the lie? I'm not lying.
I'd be remiss if I didn't at least ask you a question about Jim Acosta. I know you a colleague of yours for years. What are your thoughts on Jim Acosta stepping down? Do you feel like it was just one of those situations where they were, in a way, demoting him? By the way, I love Jim Acosta,
It wasn't in a way. They were demoting. I mean,
what are your,
you put someone on at midnight, unless you're going to give them a late night talk show, right? And you're going to design a talk show around them to compete with the big boys. I think that I'm very proud of what Jim did. I think that in a world of people who are going down to Mar-a-Lago and kissing the ring, and people who are and news organizations who are getting rid of people who hold Donald Trump to account, I think we should all try to be more like Jim Acosta, which is Jim. He'll tell you he's not doing anything extraordinary. He's just doing what a journalist is supposed to do. And I think that journalists and journalistic organizations have forgotten that. They think that they are, not that they think that they have become the sort of embodiment of the corporate structure that surrounds them. And there's supposed to be a wall between the corporate owners and the corporate overlords and the journalists. And I think that we need to somehow get the American people to realize that, and also those corporations as well. And there needs to be some sort of regulation or something that keeps a journalist protected. Otherwise, you're going to end up with state-run media. So I wish Jim the best. I sent a whole bunch of people over to his Substack the other day. He didn't text me back, but just he didn't text me a thank you. But when I see him, I'll have something snarky to say to him. But I'm very proud of him, and I wish him the best.
I'm sure he would appreciate that. I think you and Jim have a lot in common. You have a lot of integrity. You seek the truth. You challenge people on both sides. And, I'm sure Jim will be just fine, just like you're doing great. I'm sure Jim will be just fine. Last question, Don. On a normal day, if yesterday was a normal news day, we would be talking about the confirmation hearings a lot more, right? We'd be talking about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard, right? What does it say that a guy like Kash Patel raises money for people who attacked the same Capitol police officers that were protecting him yesterday, or a Robert F. Kennedy Jr. who doesn't even know how Medicaid works? You want to talk about unqualified, forget about all the conspiracy theories and the crazy things that he says. And then a Tulsi Gabbard who is clearly a Russian asset. What does it say about these three people?
What does it say about them? Well, it shows why they're there. Because Donald Trump wants people to do exactly what he says. And all of these people are tarnished in some way. And so that sort of protects him, because they're not going to buck him. And so it gives him some protection. And they feel that because they are tarnished in some way, that they are beholden to Donald Trump, right? And so they're just going to do what he says. And so it works for both of them. But by the way, when I started my show yesterday, I was telling the producers were like, well, we're supposed to be covering the hearings, but then we have the plane. Which one do you want to cover? I said, they're connected. Mm-hmm. Because the people who are in those Senate rooms and who are being questioned, that's why it is important to pay attention to that, because we're going to have those people are going to be in charge of the biggest institutions and organizations that affect our lives. Mm-hmm. Health and Human Services, the Department of Transportation, which has a huge role in the plane crash, and so on, the Defense Department. And so that is why you're having those hearings, to hold those people to account and to make sure the American people know everything about them, transparency, and if they are qualified for the job. But the sad thing is that we are in such partisan times now that nothing matters. And all of those unqualified people are going to end up in those positions. And so there you go. Now you know the consequences of an election.
Sadly, I agree with you. In closing, Don, I do want to say this. I get messages from people every day that say, man, I'm really liking this new Don Lemon. And I say to myself, I don't think this is a new Don Lemon. It's just a free Don Lemon. This is the way I think. You're a very funny guy and you're honest, but there were things you couldn't really do on CNN that you're able to do now. I find it quite enjoyable. I think it's great. But I talk to these people. I don't think this is a new Don Lemon. It's just a more free Don Lemon. Is that a fair characterization?
That's a fair characterization because, I represented some 42 or 4,500 other people and a global brand. And so I had to be, a little bit more careful with my words, but always don't let people fool you, journalist. It's always in the back of your mind that, am I going to get in trouble? What is the boss going to say? Even if it's just a little bit, am I going to lose my job? Is a shareholder going to get mad and then call up the boss and tell him to get rid of me or pipe down, or I'm going to lose an assignment? That's always in the back of the head. My contract is coming up. It's always there. But for me, I would just forget that I was on television and have conversations. And that's how I end up being an independent journalist. But this is always me. You remember 7 years ago, I opened my show and I said, "Good evening. This is CNN Tonight. I'm Don Lemon. The president of the United States is racist." And here we are 7 years later, Donald Trump is back in office. And guess what? He has been proving me right for the last 7 years. So I intend to take that energy into 2025. It's not a different Don Lemon. It's just a more liberated Don Lemon. It's always been here.
You were right then, and you're certainly right now. Don, you're the best. I always appreciate it when you take time to come on this show. I know how busy you are. I just think you're the best, man. Just keep up the great work.
Thank you, Don. I think Brian Shapiro energy is rubbed off on me. Don't you think?
When I saw that,
it feels good. And people get pissed, and I'm like, but where's the lie? I'm not lying.
I'm going to be honest with you. When I saw that first video you did when you went viral, this was like maybe a month ago. The first thing I said is, geez, I wonder if I'm rubbing off on him just a little bit.
I don't know if it's a bad or good influence. It's like the little devil on your shoulder. But actually, it was, it's just fun because I'm laughing at, sometimes you just have to laugh at the ridiculousness of these MAGA brain people who don't think for themselves and who don't even realize now with this whole DEI thing and the freezing of federal funds that they're going to be the ones who are affected the most. It's like, oh my gosh, you guys, it's idiotic.
It is. I'm just waiting for you to use the term MAGA buffoon. That'll be next. Okay. You're allowed to use that, Don. You're a MAGA buffoon. I'm waiting for that. And then I'll be the first one to text you.
I was really, did you see Senator? I know you have to go. Senator, is it Murphy yesterday, who actually said bullshit? And I was like, finally, it's about
quickly before we go, it's interesting you said, because I had Jasmine Crockett on the show last week, and oh man, she fights fire with fire. I just love Jasmine. I just think she's the best, and she could run for president one day. I just think she's got a bright future. And I told her, and she agreed with me, we need more people like her. Yeah. We need more people like her that can fight fire with fire. Go after Marjorie Taylor Greene when she insults your appearance. Go after Nancy Mace when she makes idiotic comments about transgenders. We need more people like Jasmine Crockett. I'm sorry, Nancy Pelosi. I'm sorry, Chuck Schumer. Step out of the way. Let's get younger, brighter, and more energetic people that are willing to fight fire with fire. I just think she's a perfect example of that.
In leadership positions.
Yes. Amen, brother. Yeah. Don, I love you, my friend. Thank you so much for coming on, and look forward to talking to you again soon, my friend. Have a good one, okay?
Buffoon, okay?
I love it. I love it. Don Lemon 2.0. Don, you're the best. Be safe out there in LA. I appreciate you. There you go. Don Lemon, everybody. Always has been one of my favorites for a lot of different reasons. First of all, he's a good dude. He's just a nice guy. He's got empathy. He's caring about other people. He's extremely intelligent. He's on the right side of history. He cares about people. And he's really good at what he does. And I watch him on YouTube religiously. He does a great show. Usually when I'm off the air at 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, he's on the air and he starts his show. There have been a few times where I've tried to run out to do his show. But please check out Don on YouTube and on social media. He does such a great job. He's such a good dude. And he's also very funny, by the way. Very funny and very entertaining. And I just love Don to death. He's the best. We got to get him in studio one of these days if he ever comes out here to Las Vegas.